Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, and that is Larry Linton in the Toronto area. Welcome, Larry Linton.
Good to see you again, Ed. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to see you. Thank you for your time there. Okay, so you have recently retired, is that correct?
That's correct. Officially retired, but still being, I'm not doing the usual retiree things. I'm keeping busy. As I've discussed with you before, I've had Parkinson's for the past 10 years, so I'm very involved in the Parkinson's community, and that has sort of given me my purpose on this sort of chapter.
Okay, so are you doing of counsel kind of work in immigration?
No, not really. I found that there are challenges with, with some of the symptoms. There's cognitive symptoms that come with Parkinson's. I find that my thought process from a lawyer's perspective, that critical thought process, that pivot, that analysis, I've lost that. I can still communicate fairly, I hope, coherently. But the practice of law is, pretty intense. So I don't feel confident enough to advise clients on immigration matters any longer.
Well, thank you for explaining. I see you have a white beard, so
Yes.
join the club.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's talk about your new love and your new involvement for a lot of good reasons of Parkinson's awareness and doing something about it.
Yeah, I got very involved with Parkinson's late I've had Parkinson's for 10 years and got involved with Parkinson's Canada at about the 7 or 8 year sort of mark. And looking back, I wish I would have got involved with Parkinson's Canada a lot sooner, because I was diagnosed and I tried to deny what I had and started living in denial. And that threw me into a downward spiral where I thought I had to carry the burden of this disease. So I started living a life of a recluse in the first couple of years. But then literally when I reached that point of acceptance, started living again, and I started running and returned to my love for drumming. And in that positive mindset, I started reaching out more confidently, talking about my disease, talking about my journey. And that led me to Parkinson's, support groups. And I've managed to forge some real friendships with our like-minded individuals. And that led me to being appointed as the incoming chair of Parkinson's Canada Advisory Council. It's the first time that Parkinson's Canada have established this. And I think that it's wonderful because we have often been, the passive beneficiaries of their services and policies. And with the establishment of the PAC, as it's called, it puts us at the table with Parkinson's Canada to collaborate and co-produce and have a say in all things that impact our lives as people with Parkinson's and caregivers. So I'm excited at that opportunity.
All right, we're looking at a LinkedIn page, I believe, and that is really interesting. So if I could ask you, and if you don't like the question, you can easily redirect me.
Sure.
But you just wake up one night and say, damn it, I've got to get into life here. What was that bridge over troubled waters?
Well, that bridge over troubled water was a Saturday night, a dark Saturday night, where for 2 years, over a period of 2 years, I extracted myself first from my team at work. I've known you a long time, Ed, and I know that we've spoken about my role as an immigration lawyer. So the first thing was, retracting from my team, retracting from client engagements, not going out socially with clients. And also, by the same token, finding myself living on my couch in my home, away from my family, and certainly away from my friends, where I literally lived on the couch, ate on the couch, slept on the couch. And on a Saturday night, I remember it like the day I got diagnosed. I remember the Saturday night where my family had left me alone because they didn't want to be with me and I didn't want to be with anybody. And I had an overwhelming sense of emotions rush through me, starting with anger. After 2 years, I had this tremendous anger, started shouting and swearing at myself, blaming myself. And then I got tearful and really started crying and wailing like a baby to the point of exhaustion. And at that point of exhaustion, I literally saw the light, because I calmed down and I realized that I was mid-career. I was 49 when I was diagnosed. This was when I was already 51. And I was still mid-career. I still had a family to support. I was still a spouse. And I realized that I could no longer wanted to live against the disease. I wanted to start living with it. And that's where my life literally turned, where I started accepting what I had and started living with it, and no longer wanted to continue denying what I had.
Wow. That's a real story and a tough road, and congratulations for coming out on the other side on top.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not saying that every day is roses, but I've worked hard at living the best life that I can with a chronic illness. And I think we all go through life. We all go through life with challenges. This is my challenge, and it's how you react to that challenge determines how you live with that challenge. And it took me a while, but now that I'm sharing and talking about it, I tell people, that are well, don't wait for the pain of a diagnosis before you focus on your life. Pretend that you've got bad news, because what this has taught me is to live in the moment and live mindfully in the present and not worry about the past, and certainly don't worry about the future. Focus on what you can control, because you can control it. And don't worry about things that you can't control, because you can't control those.
So are you into giving counseling to other people who have Parkinson's?
Yes, I'm not doing it professionally, but I find that anyone with Parkinson's, I have a natural affinity towards, because we're all in the same boat. I feel like this is extended family. And that's why I wrote that book, to give some practical tips of what I've learned and what I would do differently in a way of giving back. Parkinson's is in my opinion, a community event. And I carry the burden of the illness, but the responsibility is felt by my family. But there's tremendous support and safety in numbers. And that's why I'm sharing my story and willing to talk to anybody about it.
So this is a book or what?
Yes, it's a small book. It's an easy read, but when I came out of corporate, I wanted to start writing. I thought I had a book in me. So I started posting some blogs on Facebook. And based on the positive responses that I got to the style of my writing and taking some of the light moments with the dark moments, spent about 18 months writing a book. And it's been published, and I enjoy talking about it, and just encouraging people to read it, not necessarily if they're faced with Parkinson's, but it's just a way I have dealt with a health challenge, and maybe if somebody gets one or two tips out of it, then I feel that at least it's made an impact and a difference in somebody's life.
So what's the numbers in Toronto area of people who are afflicted with Parkinson's?
Well, across Canada, approximately 100,000 people have Parkinson's, 40,000 of which are in Ontario. But that is just the person with Parkinson's. You know, you can easily double that when you talk about the extended family. And my role as the chair of Parkinson Canada Advisory Council is to hear from each of those 100,000 people. What do they need? What are their unmet needs? It is my story, but I want to share and hear and try and help everybody else.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
How does Parkinson's find you,
Well, that's a great question, and that is one of the reasons why I'm behind this pack, because when I was diagnosed, the day I was diagnosed, I walked out of the doctor's office with a script for medication. There was no discussion about any support services. I had to find that out myself, and I started that downward spiral. If I had my time over again, I would love to walk out with a follow-up appointment with a neurologist, but with, more importantly, a sort of a pamphlet or a list of all the third-party services that are necessary: a psychologist, a movement disorder specialist, a career transition advisor, because being diagnosed 49 mid-career, when you now have a chronic illness, you don't know what your life's going to be. And in fact, it was harder for me to deal psychologically with my future as opposed to the physicality of my condition. And that's why I'm very impressed with Mark Colo and what he's doing. What he's doing in the States is setting up Fine Neuro Help, which is a team of specialists that are on standby at the right moment. And I think that's what Canada needs as well.
Well, maybe he could help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, do you feel like talking about family, the impact on family?
Sure, absolutely.
So, lessons learned.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, I know, but rather than feel anger or guilt, which I'm sure comes with some of this, but do you find yourself being a counselor to people who don't have Parkinson's, who are impacted by you?
Yes, I've realized that my lane is Parkinson's, but the more I talk about it, I find that it has wider application. And we may have our own separate diagnoses, but I'm also involved with other neurodegenerative counseling, because I've realized that there's a commonality between each of the journeys that we're on. And the more I talk about it, the more I realize that challenges in the workplace, disclosure, duty to accommodate, the impact on disclosure on career advancement, these are not only things that I have felt, but it's common in the chronic illness world that we live in. And the more I share about it, the more I'm fortified and I'm motivated to educate, to advocate. I think we've got a big job to do to train and educate employers about some of the invisibility of disabled people, and also to be the voice of diverse individuals, because I get complimented, Ed, from time to time, that I look well and I don't look sick, and because I don't have the obvious signs of Parkinson's that we sort of think of, the shakes and the uncontrollable body movements. And so people say, well, how can you be disabled? And yet I can still run half marathons and play the drums. But those are things that we have to do to maintain the quality of life until a cure is found. So the more we talk about it, I think the more we can educate. And that's a reason for being so vocal about it these days.
So that leads into, if I may ask, about the drums and
Yes.
the running. So I think from past conversations, you told me that you were always into music, and but knowing that you like to be coordinated with rhythm, and you played in the jazz festival.
Yes, my 15 minutes of fame. Well, it was 3 nights, so it was more than 15 minutes. But Parkinson's is thought of as a primary motor function issue. And to a large extent, that's correct. But when I got moving, I realized that to keep moving required a commitment. So I started walking and then running and then completed half marathons. Seeing the results of that, and as my thought process changed when I was doing that, I returned to my love for drumming, because it's a physical exercise, and it helped with the tremors in my hand. It brought me strength, holding the drumsticks. So I bought an electronic drum set. Then I extended it to congas and bongos so that I could use my hands. And I then ventured out, took lessons online, and then ventured out to some clubs and played in open mics and jams, and was invited to play in a band that auditioned for the International Beaches Jazz Festival. So I became known as the conga guy because I was the percussionist, not the guy with Parkinson's. So I felt so, I felt like a muser as opposed to a guy that sympathetically was playing in a band because of my Parkinson's.
So half marathon is like 12 miles or so, right? 13
Yes,
miles.
13 miles.
That's a long trip. Wait a minute. I mean, you got to keep moving there. Wait.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to start small, I guess, and build up your leg muscles and your breathing.
Breathing, the consistency, the monotony of running. But the frustrating thing with Parkinson's is that I can run, 10 miles, but then I get episodes of freezing where you actually can't even initiate a step forward. But I've learned to accept that because I think to myself, hey, 3 hours ago, I was running 10 miles. So I've learned to, break the cycle when it comes to freezing and this inability to initiate a step. And I've got some coping skills, which I share in my book. I either put music in my ears and then, march or jump to the beat of the song. I can skip. I mean, it's quite funny if you see a guy in a suit skipping down, Bay Street in Toronto.
So you redirect your brain, is that it?
Yes, I find, and I don't know what the medical term is, I find that my brain hijacks my body when it comes to freezing. So I try and trick my brain to unfreeze. So walk backwards, skip, jump on the spot. And some people think it's comical, but for me, it's a way I live with it. Now, in a mindset that wasn't as strong, I would have, retracted to my couch and not dealt with that. But now I'm outdoors, it's beautiful weather. I take the good with the bad, but I've taught myself to do that, Ed, and I think that's the important thing. You've got to look, it's a question of how you react to those challenges.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what happened to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So this video will be made available to you to give to your group in Canada and anyone else because it's clearly a direction to consider if you're impacted by this disease. So Pfizer, I was reading this thing this morning on LinkedIn, I think. CEO of Pfizer was talking about the vaccine and the miracle of it. and how he was faced with adversity and people saying no, 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 and pushing through and getting this thing developed and approved. And the miracle is that it's worked. But he said that there's 80,000 people working at Pfizer worldwide, and that the number of people involved in the development phase of the vaccine is actually very, very small, and everybody else was just watching what was going on. And he says his goal now is to use that energy and that innovation spirit that was found by the scientists and developers of the vaccine to apply to solving other diseases.
Right.
And wouldn't it be a miracle if they could apply that energy and find some success?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that is the ever hope for everyone with Parkinson's, is that, you know, there is a cure on the horizon. I'm realistically, Ed, I don't know about that. You know, I mean, over $1 billion has been invested by the Michael J. Fox Foundation. That, you know, that they lead the world on Parkinson's research. And my question is always, you know, with that amount of money, with all of those scientists, clinicians all over the world, why haven't we found a cure? And the truth is that it's a very complex disease. So, you know, I focus on the things that I can control, as I said. I take great comfort, though, is that when I'm on my bike or I'm playing my drums and I'm doing all the things that I can do to live well, there is a scientist somewhere, you know, across the world, looking at through a microscope to the molecular level, trying to understand the complexity of Parkinson's. And I thank them, obviously, for that work. But I'm a simple guy. I just want to live a good quality of life for as long as I can with my loving family and friends, you know, around me, and let the scientists do what they do best. But I think it's always good to share my lived experience, because maybe if they hear, you know, how we live and some of the challenges, then they don't think of us as a cell under a microscope. We are a whole person with our own dreams and aspirations to live a good quality of life. So that's my philosophy.
Is there a website that people can reach you at?
I haven't been very active in that regard. LinkedIn is certainly the medium that I'm on at the moment, with some articles and posts. So by all means, people can reach me by email. My email is larry.linton5@gmail.com. I'm happy to talk to anybody about this subject and anything else about living with adversity.
Thank you, Larry, for being my special guest on Global TV. Come back again, please.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day and stay safe.